The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
The Geek Show.
The Geek Show, indeed. Joining us from The Geek Show today, it is Chelfyn. Hello to you, Chelfyn.
Hello there, Wammo.
Of course, once again, joining us via live video stream as well. So if you're watching the live video stream up at kiwifm.co.nz, you'll be able to see Chelfyn. Otherwise, check it out also on demand later on as well on the YouTube channel. Chelfyn, today we're talking about 3D printing.
Yes, indeed. It's been something I've been harping on about for ages now. I've been very excited about the idea that, we could just have a box on our desk that would make stuff for us.
And when you say stuff, are we talking about like any stuff, like anything?
Well, eventually, yes. Once we have things that can print multiple materials, things that can also print circuitry and things like that, then yes, we're kind of looking at something a bit like a Star Trek replicator in ability. Yeah. But that's quite a few years away. Although, they have got, they are using very similar printing technology to make OLED, organic LED screens. So, as you can see, this technology can be used already to make electronic components. But at the moment, the 3D desktop printers are printing primarily in some form of plastic. And really, there's kind of three things I wanted to talk about today. First of all, Hewlett-Packard are releasing their first 3D printer at the moment, and it's really just a rebadged Stratasys printer in many ways. Stratasys are one of the big current 3D print manufacturers. They make machines for light industry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the advantage that this has got over the current ones is that it's just a bit easier to use. It's a bit friendlier to sit in the corner of an office and just make a thing. The downside is that it's really quite pricey. This is starting at about $23,000.
Whoa, that's expensive for an average office printer.
Yeah. And I really think that to kickstart this market, that price point needed to be well under 10,000 US, and it's about 17,000 in US dollars. And I actually think that it really needs to be at what the HP LaserJet was at when that first started the desktop printing in 2D revolution, which was around 5,000 US dollars. That's the sort of price where you can easily see a business forking out for something like that. That's, it's less than the cost of a car. Yeah. That sort of thing. I've known people spend more on a chair, an office desk. But I think at that sort of price, it's not going to open up the market. It's certainly not a hobbyist kind of price. And it's not actually creating anything that you can't get for a few grand cheaper already, which I think is a bit of a shame. If this had been 2 years ago and it had been 5 grand cheaper, I would say this was going to launch a revolution. But now I don't think it is. I think things are going in a different direction. In fact, I was probably going to come to this to the end, but I actually think I'll go straight on to where I think things are going.
Yeah.
For the desktop range of things, is I just think for your money and for the flexibility, the ability to go to shapeways.com and buy a model where you're paying by the price per cubic centimeter of material, and then that model's delivered to your door within 10 days.
Yeah.
I think for most people, that will beat the ability to have your model in, an hour or two. Because at Shapeways, you can choose which material out of quite a wide range suits your needs. And that some of them are exceptionally interesting. You can now, at Shapeways, get models printed in glass.
Wow.
Yeah, milky white matte glass made out. It's recycled and recyclable. Melting points at about 500 degrees C. And it's not as high resolution as some of the other things you can print in, but it's printing objects in glass.
Yeah, what Well, what kind of objects do you think you would print in glass?
Well, some of the cool things you could print in glass would be molds to make things out of metal. That would be a possibility. Ornament. Things, decorative things.
Yeah.
I don't see that many uses for glass over plastic for non-decorative things. But once again, you look over your range of materials and you choose the right one for the job. They also allow you to print in steel, stainless steel at $10 a cubic centimeter, which is pricey, but it's incredibly strong and it's quite detailed. And the ability to print in steel, you can make jewelry like that.
Yeah.
And because you're paying by the cubic centimeter, any jewelry you make doesn't necessarily have to be expensive either.
Effectively, you could be a designer and design jewelry, yes, but you don't have to have the expertise in actually, chiseling things out and doing the actual manual making of it.
No, you just send you make your design in a 3D package, design something in ZBrush, and then send the generated file off to Shapeways, and back will come your model. And they do strong plastics for $1.50 a cubic centimeter, a full color sandstone, which it's a bit brittle, but they'll do quite large objects and incredibly good detail, 0.1 millimeter resolution. And that's full color. You can send 24-bit color with that, and it'll come out fully colored, which I think is quite awesome. Once again, that's, I would see, most used for decorative items and things like that. But I actually think that provides, for most people, a more useful model than a desktop printer.
Yeah,
at the moment.
And people currently do that anyway. If you want to print out a portfolio or a presentation of some kind, most people don't print that in the office or in their home. They actually send that off to the professionals, and it comes back to them.
Yeah, it is. It's very like that existing model. So it's a shame that the first of the major manufacturers don't seem to have come in at a price point which will excite the industry. But that's the way things go. There are plenty of people in this industry trying to get stuff out at those lower price points. I guess it's just a case of whoever gets in there first. If they get in early enough, there might be a revolution, but it might be a case that the cost of these items, especially in the first 5 years, is so prohibitive that we're better off using a service to get something made and delivered.
Yeah. What about this huge printing on a massive, almost industrial or art scale?
Well, this is one that has got me excited. I've talked about these things before, but this is a different company that's doing it. There's one in California has set up. It's basically as a house printer. The idea is that the one in California was printing from some form of concrete. This is a new one by an Italian inventor, Enrico Dini, who's the chairman of a company, Mod UK, and he's developed a huge 3D printer called Dshape that prints entire buildings out of sand and an inorganic binder.
Wow.
And it works by spraying a thin layer of sand followed by a layer of magnesium-based binder from hundreds of nozzles on the underside. And where the glue hits the sand, it turns to solid stone. And then it builds this layer by layer to form a sculpture, like a sandstone building. And it can... The machine itself is... Basically, it's just scaffold, but it's can print a 6 meter by 6 meter by 6 meter space. So
would it have,
any design...
Would it have enormous jets on it?
Not enormous, just lots of small ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically a long print head that just looks like a 6 meter long piece of truss with a few things attached to the bottom. And that just goes backwards and forwards, laying down either sand or binder, and then any excess sand will get washed away. But this allows for incredible building shapes because the entire thing is, your building is effectively printed as soon as you press the enter key.
Yeah.
You can just walk away and let it do it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have builders there doing things. You just have to set up the area where you want your building and press go.
Gosh, it's like a computer game or something. Chelfyn,
Yeah.
Chelfyn, that's all we've got time for, but it's no doubt you'll have more links up at thegeekshow.com, 2 3s rather than 2 E's, and people can also continue the conversation over at twitter.com/Chelfyn, Chelfyn. Thanks, Chelfyn.
Yep, no problems.
Track now from Sci-Fi Starland. This is called Pressure. Radio Wammo Breakfast, Kiwi.